Christmas, Origin of Traditions Part 12, History of Christmas Trees. Before I close off the trees from around the world, I wanted to include some fun facts that they included as well. One of the more interesting facts, the first they list, is that trees in the United States have been sold commercially since 1850, which would equate to a lot of money in these purchases. Commercialism at its finest in stores, it seems, brings out the Christmas items earlier every year. In 1923, President Calvin Coolidge initiated the National Christmas Tree Lighting Ceremony, which is now held every year. And then in 1966, the National Christmas Tree Association began giving a Christmas tree to the president and his family every year. I do not know which is worse, the fact there is an association for Christmas trees, or that they give a president who does not need help with money or freebies every year. Also, Christmas trees take 6 to 8 years to mature and are grown in all 50 states, which includes Hawaii and Alaska. They use more than 1 million acres of land to grow Christmas trees, and on average, as many as 1,500 Christmas trees are planted per acre. The best-selling of these trees are the Scotch pine, Douglas and Fraser firs, the balsam fir, and the blue spruce. Regarding the decorations, there were a couple of interesting notes. One thing to note is that they credit Thomas Edison's associates with coming up with the idea of electric lights for Christmas trees. However, in some of my other studies, I have found that Thomas Edison stole ideas from other inventors, one namely being Nikola Tesla. As I wrote that, I was reminded of an episode of The Simpsons I watched a long time ago. As some may know, The Simpsons have shown certain events that eventually have come to pass, or clearly disguised truth that have happened. Matt Groening, the creator of the show, is also a high-ranking Freemason, and many believe that he has told secrets that he writes into the shows, hence why what he writes in eventually comes into reality, such as scandals and other such things. A couple to name some are the scandals with P. Diddy, a boxing match between Homer and Mike Tyson that was rigged where Homer won, and a picture of a few celebrities took at the Grammys, which later came to pass. I remember watching the episode about Homer and Mike Tyson, but in reality, the fight that was rigged was between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. This is all given to the Freemasons because the devil's agenda is mostly coming to pass, and given that they worship the devil, he reveals secrets to the top-ranking Freemason, and he disseminates down the line. Whatever the case about these evils coming into fruition, one such episode was about Homer trying his hand with inventions. He had a lot of failed inventions, like Thomas Edison did, but one he did come up with was rigging a chair with foldable legs, so when he would lean back and ponder thoughts, he would not continue to fall back. When he went to the Museum of Edison and seen that on Thomas Edison's chair were foldable legs, he wanted the invention for himself and waited until the room was empty. Then he proceeded to remove the foldable legs, claiming the invention for himself, as Thomas frequently did with his inventions. In some ways, he was not an inventor, but a thief of other people's work, such as Nikola Tesla. With all that being said, who really knows if it was Thomas and his team that first created electric Christmas tree lights, or if it was someone else, like Nikolai, who really invented the lights for Christmas, or even electricity for that matter. Nikolai was the original inventor of electricity, as I had found in my studies back in high school, and Thomas stole the idea from Nikolai and made it into something else more usable for the city and eventually the world. So in all reality, Nikola Tesla was the inventor of electricity, not Thomas Edison, as most believe. Another notable fact was that tinsel used to be made with lead foil, and as we know, lead is cancerous. But in the early 1970s, the US FDA convinced the manufacturers to switch to plastic tinsel, a rare moment where the government actually care about people and their health, and now the tinsel ruins wheels and vacuums, but better than affecting health and causing cancer. Another great article, which lists various traditions and how they adapted to modern times and evolved, can be found at www.ibelieve.com/holidays, the ancient history and meaning of the Christmas tree, HTML. It talks about the ancient pagan history and how the Christmas tree evolved. As the Bible briefly talks about some form of this, the tradition started in ancient Egypt, around the time of the winter solstice, which is the shortest day and longest night of the year. They believed that it was their sun god, Ra, returning to full strength. What the ancient people believed we find funny, but even today, some people's beliefs are rather bizarre, like how some think that people come from monkeys or evolved from bacteria. Regardless, the ancient Egyptians decorated their homes with evergreen boughs, as we had discussed earlier, and evergreen trees, and other groups, such as Romans and Celtics, did the same, and believed that it would keep out the evil spirits and sickness. If you notice though, while the ancient Egyptians did that for their Ra, the Romans did it for their Saturn. So really, this tradition started with the Egyptians, some 3,000 years ago or so. It even evolved to German pagans, making human sacrifices to their fake god or fallen angel Thor, even talked about in the 8th century. This, I thought, was of Nordic and Viking nature, but the article states it was Germans as well. If you remember, we talked about how all the Christmas tree decorating and festivities started from Germany, so in relation, it roots back to their human sacrifices. Were those gifts under the tree really taken from the wise men, or were they from human sacrifices? I guess that is why early Puritans had banned Christmas trees and decorations in the 16th and 17th century until the German immigrants were flooding in, and then the traditions were becoming more accepted. As the article further states, they banned them because of their cultish roots, and as of the 19th century, Americans embraced these cultish and pagan traditions as their own. Yeah, good job, giving into the devil's way, and now many have fell for it and continue this tradition. At least they did not give in to the human sacrifices. Many just give in to the ending of baby lives in the womb. May we keep our hope, faith, and trust in the Lord and seek Him only. Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ, for your grace, love, and mercy.